New Zealand Dairy Farmer is proudly brought to you by Hanson Products, providing Kiwi farmers with water system solutions for over 50 years. Kieran Tully and wife Sarah started share milking in 2004 after arriving from Manchester. They had done the Dairy NZ Mark and Measure strategic planning course, and after looking at a number of options, including a fact-finding mission down to the South Island, worked out that what they wanted to do was get into an equity partnership in the Hauraki Plains.
How did you come to be here on the Hauraki Plains, Kieran?
Originally started as a working holiday 20 odd years ago, and when I went back to England I realised that career options in dairying were pretty limited. So my wife Sarah and I came back a few years after managing a farm in England and arrived on the Hauraki Plains, and we've pretty much been here ever since.
So you worked your way through the share milking system?
Yeah, that's right. We started on wages. Sarah was a nurse by profession, so we saved some money from that job. Then we went contract milking, and we managed to get a good farm manager's position, and eventually we were able to buy the cows on that property when the share milker was exiting.
And from there you've built up cow numbers as well as the size of properties you've share milked on?
Yeah, we ended up with 520 cows, and in the 2008 year the prices were really high, and this property that we're on now became available, so we went into an equity partnership with our accountant, and it's been a very good venture for us.
What sort of obstacles did you face in your time coming through the industry?
Probably lack of money at all times, and also we were hamstrung with several droughts in a row that made things pretty tight financially. But I think one of the saving graces there was having a good network of supportive people who could help us through those times in terms of their advice, and the people who've been there before us. And again, the Kiwi dairy industry is renowned for that, of helping other people out.
How long have you been here?
We came here in 2009 after our share milking contract finished, and it's been a bit of an uphill struggle in some ways, but we're settled down now.
And how many cows are you milking here?
Just over 300.
And what type of system are you using? Mainly pasture-based?
Mainly, but we have introduced maize and palm kernel and grass silage to sort of counteract the effects of drought. That's some of the uphill struggles we've had over the last few years.
And was there a lot of development work to be done on the farm when you arrived?
But when we arrived, the herds was run as two, so that was creating management problems for having extra people to get herds in. So we increased the size of the cowshed yard and also put a new race system in to make things faster getting the cows to the shed.
And were there some drainage issues or work that had to be done with refencing, anything of that sort?
Yeah, we've refenced probably half the farm, and we've still got a little bit more to do, but we'll do that as time and budget allows.
And what about pasture renewal? What sort of state were the pastures in when you came?
In fairness, it was a very, very bad drought, so we ended up undersowing about 70% of the farm, but our normal policy is to regrass about 10% each year.
Right, and you're keeping on with that using what, annuals, perennials?
Use perennials, and we did try tetraploids a few years ago, but we found in this area, with a lack of summer rainfall, it's very hard to keep them going.
And with the maize, you're growing that on the property, are you?
We have done in the past, but we've actually secured a lease block and we grow crops on that.
Right, and what sort of quantity a year? You're putting that into maize silage, are you?
Yeah. We probably use about 120 tonne of maize silage, and palm kernel sort of comes in to fill in gaps, probably 60 to 80 tonnes a year depending on the season.
Right, and what sort of production are your cows doing?
We're targeting 360 a cow this year, and on this property it's just under 1100 a hectare.
Right, and even with the dry weather through January and February, you're still hopeful of getting to that?
Hopeful, yeah.
Good. What sort of level of replacements do you have coming into the herd?
We're targeting 20 to 25%. We had a really good run last year, and you know, there's obviously some surplus stock we can use next year there.
And what's your breeding policy? You're a Kiwi cross herd, are you?
Yeah. We usually put a Frisian cow over a Jersey bull and the other way around, and that's creating a nice standard line of animals.
What's your empty rate like?
Oh, it's usually between 4 and 7%, so it does give us a lot of culling options rather than cows that are empty.
And what about your calf rearing? How many calves are you rearing on a yearly basis?
Somewhere between 60 and 90. We've inseminated all the heifers this year, so that will give us another 20 to 40 heifer calves that we can rear here as well. Again, just building numbers for the next move, I guess.
Right. What about pasture persistence?
It has been a problem because we came here in a drought, and then we undersowed about 70% of the farm, and the following year we did a similar amount. I guess it's been a bit of a disappointment to us that we spent a lot of money on regrassing to get that extra yield and milk production, and by the second and third year, you know, we're struggling to see persistence in those plants. It's become very clear that some grasses perform well under irrigation, and you know, you sort of give them a good story on those, but you bring them to the Hauraki Plains in the summer and see how they go then.
And you've got particular insect pest problems as well.
Yeah, the clay that we're on here, we have a lot of cricket damage in the summer, so we monitor that carefully, and we do provide bait to sort that problem out. But other areas of the plains have got peat soils, and black beetle has pretty much decimated some of their new grass crops.
So what's most farmers' way of counteracting some of these problems?
I think one of the big ways that we've looked at the Hauraki Plains is the discussion group to talk about what's not working and what is. And there's some farmers always seem to have really good quality pastures and others don't. And I guess it's just a case of joining those people up and having some good robust discussion on how we can get better grasses for the plains that work in our area. But it's mainly in the summer. We just need to get a plant that will go through a dry summer.
Do you use cropping at all in the summer for feed for the cows?
We do, and I think maize and grass silage from our lease block has helped us overcome some of the pasture damage issues in the summer in terms of pulling, because we've got something we can put into the diet so they don't graze the pastures down too low.
Right. You don't grow a summer crop like turnips or anything like that?
No, the Hauraki Plains has some very good crops of turnips, but there are also some poor crops, and it really is that hit and miss in terms of my risk analysis of it, that I wouldn't want to risk doing something like that. Though chicory in recent years has come on in leaps and bounds, and some people do really well with chicory, so that may be an area we consider in the future.
So that might be another area for future research as well?
Definitely.
After the break, Karen shares some advice for those considering share milking as a platform towards getting into farm ownership.
Have a big dream, believe that you can do it. Surround yourself with people that will help you achieve your goal. If you want to be a successful share milker, find some successful share milkers and pick their brains on how they did it. What are the good points of it? What are the pitfalls they've got to avoid?
That's after the break on New Zealand Dairy Farmer. New Zealand Dairy Farmer is proudly brought to you by Hanson Products, providing Kiwi farmers with water system solutions for over 50 years.